Okay, right here we're doing some light squats just to warm up a little bit before we get into our working sets. I personally feel like the best warm-ups is to just do whatever your primary exercise is with lighter loads and get incrementally heavier until you work into your working sets. A lot of people like to do leg swings or maybe some step mill or something like that to warm up, which is fine. It's just not the way I like to do things. One thing you shouldn't be doing is doing any type of static stretching. It really can lead more to injury than it would help. If anything, if you'd want to do some type of stretching, probably a dynamic stretching, like an athletic stretching circuit, would be a better option. But this is just some light work, and you'll see here I talk about my mobility issues that I've been working on with depth. Even with this lighter weight, like at this point at the bottom of the squat, I feel like I can't get any lower. I feel like it's almost like that's the bottom position. I am trying to actively like spread the floor and open my tank a little bit. It's just the mobility aspect hasn't got to where we want it to. It looks a little bit better from last week's, which with these lighter loads it probably will, but we're gonna translate that on and try to make it as good as it can. In the hypertrophy block, we're going to be cutting the weight down a whole lot and just really focusing on deep knee bend and getting as much quad engagement as we can. Okay, we start getting into our working sets right around here. Jeremiah, my training partner, did 2 sets with 245 and 1 set with 275. My first working set was 315 and it felt relatively light, so we went up to 335. Did that for the third set also. Probably could have worked up to about 355, but I decided to stay where it was at. Hindsight's a motherfucker. Looking back at it, really got a slight amount of regret. I probably could have pushed that a little bit harder, but we live, we learn, and we get better. second working set is probably my best set from the training session. I really felt like these like second, third, fourth, and fifth reps were relatively deep compared to what I can do. I'm going to look into it and see if I can't mimic that movement more and more and get better at it. On the linear hack squats, every now and then I can see myself shaking my arm, and I noticed it during the sets too. My lat, or my forearm would start cramping every now and then. I guess it's because I was squeezing the handles so hard, trying to initiate as much power as I can. Probably going to work with my hands off the bar next time, just so that I can use purely leg drive. thought you was going to suffer. Okay, so now we're getting into the reverse hypers. I love reverse hypers. I think they're great for lower back strength and lower back development, but I also think it's good as a rehabilitation exercise. I personally feel like whenever my back's tired or I have a little sciatica acting up, this really just kind of knocks it right out the park and gets me feeling better and back to normal. Sometimes I'll use it as a warm-up to deadlift or any type of hinging movement, but today we were using it as our hinging movement. It wasn't too heavy. Obviously, with this type of movement, you're not going to be pushing crazy weight, but we got just enough to get a nice little pump in the glutes, hams, and the low back.
Dediğinin kıllım değilsin tapılma gidin uyan Sen geliriz Bu denemez Sen de gelir Canıma da var Sen bana da var Sen de gelir Bu denemez Canıma da var
Now we're getting into our last couple sets of sled pushes. Fun little way to end your training session. Translates over real well to strongman or athletics in general when it comes to things like Conan's wheel or any type of truck push or truck pull or anything like that. But it also helps as an assistance work for sprint work, which is going to help me translate over to rugby come this 7 seasons. But sucks really bad, but we're going to do it regardless, and we're going to make that shit happen. Okay, so squat focused lower body day from Tuesday. We did 3 working sets of 10 reps on squats, set at 315, a set at 335, and a set at 335. And we did 4 sets on linear hack squats, 3 sets with reverse hypers, and then 3 sets of max effort sled pushes. Went pretty well. Depth still isn't quite there with the squats yet, but we're working on it and we'll get better. Everything kind of went right where we wanted to. Mike could have went a little heavier on the last set of squats, but we'll know better next time and we'll push a little harder. And that was it. We missed Monday. We weren't able to get that training session in. Probably going to try to work it into the rest of the week somehow. And then the session we have for tonight, which is Thursday, is going to be an upper body pull focus session with snatches being the main primary mover. And we'll just see how that goes and we'll figure shit out.